Hey there. I know I haven't done this for a while. Actually, ever, I don't think. But I'm starting this new thing. I'm driving. I'm on my way to an appointment. And I kind of wanted to start it while I'm thinking about it. So, a lot of you might have been part of my Help for the Haunted page. I haven't been posting a lot in there in the last couple of years just because I think I got my feet firmly planted in, like, I don't know, human reality, not so much in the spirit side of things. I've missed it. I felt guilty that I wasn't more involved. But I recently started the work to become a certified death doula. This is an emerging thing. People who help folks cross over in a way that isn't necessarily through hospice. It's not a medical provider. I'll be working in the sense that it's shamanic in the way that we're focusing on helping folks transition into death. I've always known that's something I wanted to do, but I never really looked into it, and as I've started really digging into the coursework, I'm having a lot of feelings around this, and so I kind of wanted to, I don't know, maybe capture that, because I know that a lot of people aren't drawn to this type of work, and I don't want to forget how I'm starting it. I know that sounds a little weird, but it's important to me that I don't forget why I started doing this. So it was a few years ago. I had a dream, and it was one of those dreams that aren't actually dreams. But I dreamt that I was in bed, and my guide was there standing next to the bed, and he told me to get up and go with him. And so I did that in my dream. I say that with air quotes. I did that in my dream. And he took me to this really pretty place. It was like a duplex. The duplex had 2 sections. Each section was identical and mirrored the one next to it. In the middle were 2 doors, one that went into each section. And when you walked in either one of those doors, the first thing that you saw was an open area. It had like a small string quartet, maybe a cello player. I don't remember exactly who was playing, but there was soft music. It was live, and there were people milling around with drinks in their hands like they were at a party, but it was a little quiet. And my guide led me into the second room that was in this building, and it was a man lying in a hospital bed. There was a nurse or someone attending him, and I asked my guide, "What am I doing here?" And he said, "You're here to help them die." And I remember feeling this overwhelming sense of, oh my God, I don't know how to do that. And my guide disappeared, and I was left, by myself standing next to this man who was dying. And he said, "Thank you so much for coming." And I took his hand and asked him a little bit about himself, and we talked. And then I went to the next room, the next other side of the duplex, and had the same conversation with a different person who was dying. And I sort of went back and forth between both. The important thing here to me was that each of those rooms had all of that person's friends and loved ones. They were there to celebrate his life and his death in an active way that we don't do. We do this after someone dies, not while they're in the process of dying. And this made such a huge impact on me. I remember feeling, I still feel all of the feelings that evoked in me at the time that I had that dream. And it's never really left me. I think that I've worked with the dead for so long that this feels like a really natural transition. I don't exactly know how it's going to play out yet, but I wanted to kind of share that journey with you. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's that I have a huge issue with how we deal with death in America. We take our folks, our elders, or are sick, and we put them in these cold buildings, and we hide them away, and we try to forget that death is where all of us are headed. It's something that we share universally with every other being on the planet, and we don't talk about it, and we don't plan for it, and we don't deal with the feelings around it. And so our culture is really different than a lot of other cultures, like say India, where death is a natural part of their life. It's a natural transition, and they celebrate it publicly, and they mourn publicly, and they share the responsibility of grief in a way that Americans don't. And I believe that the death doula movement, the change that's starting to take place around the death industry, is maybe because so many other people are having those same types of, I don't know, feelings that I got by way of my guide and those two men. So over the course of that dream, one man died. His friends before his death came in and out of his room. They said their goodbyes, they laughed, they shared a drink. They supported each other as a group after the person passed. It was a very profound experience for all of the people that were involved, the living and the person who was dying. The man in the other room told me, I don't think I'm ready to go today. Same experience, friends and family were coming in with their drink and their hors d'oeuvres and talking to him in a friendly way and encouraging him and supporting him in his transition. And I remember telling him, that's okay, they're all here for you, because he was concerned that there was this big event that wasn't going to end in a finale. And I remember him being okay finally with the fact that he didn't have to die that day, but that his friends were there to support him and that he could choose when he wanted that to happen. We have so little control of the things that happen in our lives. So little control on how we come into the world, sometimes even how we became. And we need to have more control about how we exit. We need to not be afraid, because, well, I'm not an expert on death by any means, and none of us are truly going to know what happens until we actually experience it ourselves. I've had a lot of time, decades, working with the dead, and there's so many things that they all have in common. People from all over the world, not just here in the US. So it's going to be an interesting journey